Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode at IMSH25 of Between Two Simulators, and we're here today with Dil Khaira, the CTO of MXR, which stands for Meta Extended Reality. Dil is one of the people that's bringing me back into the immersive AR and VR world. I've struggled with where it fits in with what we do in Simulation Collective and how we apply it to people. And Dil and I have struck up some conversations, and I think that combined certainly with the MXR technology, that we have something to offer now and something to discuss. So Dil, I just wondered if you could tell us a bit about yourself, how your career started.
First of all, Jake, thank you for having me here today. And my career started in 2000, and the first job I had was with a flagship training, and I was fully based with the Royal Navy. And back of that, I learned how to do software development. In simulation, we did the first submarine nuclear simulators, and that was part of the BA requirement, so we delivered that in the fast lane. And ever since then, my career always been in the defense and in the learning technologies, and that's now 25 years of being in that environment. Worked for large organizations like VT Group, Babcock, and even Lockheed Martin. At 2014, that's when I really started thinking I need to do something myself and have my own organization company set up. And so that's my quick brief outline, basically. So
brilliant. In the UK, we have grammar schools, and we all want our kids to get into grammar schools. And it's always the parents are trying to push their kids to apply for the grammar schools and do an exam called the 11+. I hear that originally you wrote some software for that.
Well, we created a platform. Thank you for taking me back at 2014. That was our original start, basically. And the grammar school preparation is all about practice. More practice you have, the child is going to. It's got nothing about how academically they well, basically, but it's all about practice. And we created a fun way of learning. So we had video learning in there. We had gamification. Subjects were like non-verbal reasoning, verbal reasoning, English and maths. So the core skills are numeracy and literacy, plus other skills they have to learn. And the actually, the normal tuition fees are about £2,000 a year, plus you have to buy the resources. And what we did was we thought, let's get this out there and develop something that actually use my skill set, and actually we build the actual that platform to allow the parents to have access to all the analytics, how well their child was doing in that platform, and all the resources available in one place. And so that was the key aim behind that.
Okay, yeah. And so now you've moved your experience into VR, AR, and immersive technologies. How so what have you brought over to that you think you could put into VR, AR, and immersive for the healthcare education?
I think the biggest making a scalable platform. That was a key lessons learned there. Plus the actual ability to we realized that we needed a backend to every hardware device. We say it could be a Quest 2, Quest 3, HTC Vive. If you put a content on that device, it's a standalone. Right? And once a learner gone through, all the instructors actually gone through it, most of the time you can't update those devices. Then after a while they get put on a shelf and sits there because somebody else brings another device. Basically, managing those devices are getting harder. Right? Because if you look at scale wise, you've got 20 of them or 30 of them, and it gets harder for the person who's managing them. And the lessons learned there was how do we actually make sure that we got back end to support the actual these devices.
Okay. Okay, and so, I mean, apart from that, what do you see are the issues with adoption from users of VR and AR technologies?
I think it's a generation issue. What I find is generation issue because if you give these devices to any young person, they just pick it up and start using it. And then, but if you give us to a certain generation that actually haven't had that experience, you have to give them a training to do that. And that's what we found across the board. That's what taking back of that we take it now. We just want to create a content that users jump in rather than think about what controllers. So we've gone away from certain controllers basically, so all hand gestures basically, so you controlling the move, say navigation through just clicking on it with the fingers and all that. So mixed reality, all of these new headsets allow you to do that hand gesture capability. So.
Okay, yeah, and the thing that constantly gets brought up with VR and AR, and actually anything we're involved in medical simulation, how is your platform going to make it easier to create content that becomes curriculum relevant? And when we talk about curriculum relevant, I mean curriculum relevant to the UK, to nursing, to America, to everywhere. How is that flexibility? How is it going to be flexible?
I think that, first of all, the platform itself is doing a couple of things. One is managing the devices, managing the content, and also tracking the analytics from the devices. And what we find is we're given a layer of drag and drop capability where you're going to, as a subject matter expert, you can build your own scenarios, or you can edit that scenarios within a platform that actually then allows you to integrate all of that seamlessly, basically. So we give on the Unity engine, we created another layer of drag and drop capability editing tool. So that's what we managed to do to speed up the actual giving the tools to the SME who actually can create their own content. That's what we managed.
Okay, does that mean it's agnostic with everything that's out there? Can you bring in other technologies or even other companies and use it within the platform?
We get to the point where we try and create a standard of which we can give a SDK to any other company, and they can actually then build content to our platform. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And so that would make it easier, presumably, for people that have existing hardware and software to integrate them with each other, if you like, in one platform.
I think that definitely we will need to get to that point sooner or later, because if you look at what happened, I think we are very early stages of XR generally in the industry. I'm going back into my past where I started in the e-learning development at that time, and there was no standards there. And so if you created a content and you wanted to put down to another vendor's LMS, you couldn't do it. You had to do loads of coding. I think we're in a similar sort of position at the moment where everybody's creating that content, fine, but you can't actually just pick that up and put it in somebody else's learning management system at the moment. But that's where I think that in the future, collectively, industry will need to actually create a standard that we can do that.
So potentially, we could be talking about some sort of standardization and some sort of regulation of how people interact with immersive VR, AR technology, and how curriculums are developed.
Yeah, I think that, definitely. I think we don't want to over-regulate it the way it's actually stops innovation or hinder innovation. But a regulation will be required where we can standardize the actual the content and easy to actually then integrate with other platforms and allow more content available and easily transfer from one platform to another platform. So the end user or the organization are worried about, if I buy this platform, I'm going to be stuck with it, basically. And I think that's the key thing.
Okay. And so with Insight MXR, what about measurables? What about metrics? What sort of information can be delivered back to the educator and the student after a course has been completed?
Jake, we've done a lot of work on that, basically. So from eye tracking to heat maps, basically, to anything you do in VR or XR or even AR content. All of that information is going back into the platform, tracks it, and then actually we're adding the AI layer now to do predictive learning, basically. So then, or adaptive learning, and so what it will allow second phase of this development is allow the instructor to measure and learner to actually get adaptive learning modules coming at them, depending how they performed on the previous modules.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you've mentioned AI. So what do you think what are the risks of AI, first of all, and then what do you think the advantages of using AI are going to be with AR, VR, and immersive?
I think there's a huge amount of advantage, basically, and where stuff like soft skills, say interview skills, communicating with the patient and that sort of stuff, we can build scenarios faster and let AI give you the response rather than actually predefined responses. And I think that those sort of stuff that actually going to be help to develop content faster, and actually also not limited to the stuff that been just created for that particular scenario. So it's all going to be adapted approach, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's really important that that we use AI properly, though. Do you perceive any risks in the usage of AI within healthcare education?
I think that again, we have to have the human bit into it, make sure that because we are dealing with the patient, we're dealing with real people, and that the training that we're providing is a high quality. And I think that more these large language models get bigger and bigger and get trained better, and we will get a better output.
Okay, so and now I think it's really important to talk about what you've got cooking. So, obviously we've been working together a little bit in the UK on a couple of projects. Just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about the projects that that you're working on. And
again, we had a generic inside XR platform, which is for everybody to use. Now what we're doing is customizing that for the NHS, and the reason we had to do it because it had got a slightly different approach and had got different requirements to actually part of that. So we are looking at soft skills, couple of stuff. We're working with Andover Nursing College and allowing them to actually, with young learners having difficulty, say, and openly communicate, and with giving a virtual experience for the immersive experience where they can actually talk to the actual patient in a confidence and let the AI and the actual instructor support that preparing that bit of experience, and we're tracking every bit of the actual analytics, and the instructor can actually then use that part as the evidence to say, look, they've gone through this process of communication and they passed it.
Yeah, and I think that particular project was really interesting when I sort of heard about and got involved in it, because with VR and AR, sometimes I find it a little bit too complicated, and it's quite specific what people want to get out of it, and a lot of the time the mandatory side of the training, the stuff that everybody is bored of or doesn't want to get involved in, such as infection control, moving and handling, BLS, communication, kind of gets missed with AR and VR. So it was a really good opportunity to discuss that with Andover College at the lower level, to see if we can get people involved in AR and VR that way.
Definitely, and it's more resources we can actually build to actually support them. I think that there's lack of resources. I think that was the other issue we had, and then this will kind of give us an opportunity working with the subject matter experts and actually let them drive that bit. Because otherwise, if you took it at the technical point of view and I'll build the content thinking that they will have a benefit, it ain't gonna work. Subject matter experts are more important part of this actually development process than anything else.
Yeah. And so finally, the other thing that that we've been talking about as well is headsets and the adoption of headsets. And sometimes that is a barrier with VR and AR. And if you haven't got an immersive room, you know, what alternatives are there? What have people got holding up a phone that will give them an early sort of introduction to AR?
I think that, with the VR on the mobile phone, using like a Google cardboard technology, you can insert that mobile phone into your cardboard headset, basically, which is only about $8 or very cheap to actually really jump into it and start using VR.
Yeah.
And it just different device to run the actual the content.
And finally, just alluding to another project that you're working on. There's talk of a driving simulator, an ambulance driving simulator with a university in the UK. I wonder if you could tell us more about that project and where we are with it, really.
We actually got all the software side of it sorted out, but we're actually looking at the hardware. Basically, they want different vehicles also included. So the main larger ambulance, and then the normal car vehicle type of which gives you different levels. But where we are with the ability to track data, we can do that. We can actually put trigger points in the actual scenario. So if somebody walks across in the red light, or if the ambulance hits it, we can actually track all that data basically at the moment.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean, just to give you a little bit more of a background on this, this is with Greenwich University. Greenwich University have asked MXR to create a driving simulator for an ambulance. And there's the reason why they wanted to do this is they wanted to get some training the data back. There's some metrics about how the trainee paramedics actually drive and you know, safety or lack of when they're doing it. It's all part of healthcare simulation as far as I'm concerned. And this project is being worked on right now.
Right now,
yeah. So if you sort of just on a general side, if you had a hero in development that you know, you would like to follow in the footsteps of, or somebody that's inspired you, I wonder if you could give us a bit more information on that.
Hero, I think I look at anybody who actually in this in the healthcare or any development actually really understand the actual technology and understand what the customer requirement is. And some of these unsung heroes are the ones that actually take your product and they might not work for them basically, but they do a work around it and make it work for the learner. Those are the guys are real heroes. I think in the real training and actually making things work. And I think you see that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we touched on it a little bit, really. But you know, what are your views on regulation of the healthcare industry overall, both from a clinical point of view and from an industry point of view of producing products?
I think we do need a regulation, but we need to have a balanced approach to it, where we have to look at it. If you're over-regulated, we're going to then hinder the actual innovation, which also going to be not good. But if we self-regulate first, get this standardization, all of that quality side we looked at. And I think we do need it, and this is very important because we are dealing with the real lives, and we want to make sure our nurses and doctors are trained at a higher quality. And I think we do need that, definitely.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, exactly as well. I think it's definitely something that should be looked into, something that shouldn't stifle innovation, of course. But yeah, you know, I think there needs to be some sort of process of understanding what we're all trying to achieve as a industry together. Really.
I think a perfect example, I still say e-learning, it was the perfect example where there was no standards, there were no regulations and anything else. People were building content in silo basically, and then all of a sudden when the regulation came, now we can take plug and play any of the content, any learning management system. But same with the simulation content, the VR content, XR content, we do need some standard.
Yeah, brilliant. So, Dil, thanks very much
thank you
for coming in and talking to us. Welcome to Orlando again. We're going to see you over the next couple of days. This video is going to be available online, of course. If you would like to know more about MXR, we will put a link on there as well. And if you'd like to engage with the platform, Dil's the man, and we can link you up. So
thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Dil.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.